Good evening. You're watching the main news on HKIBC. I'm Johanna Chan. Here's a look at tonight's top stories. YouTube removes the campaign channel of Hong Kong's sole chief executive candidate, John Lee. Massage parlors prepare to reopen tomorrow as COVID curbs are eased. And former People Power Vice Chairman Tam Tak-chi is jailed for 40 months for sedition. The YouTube channel of John Lee, Hong Kong's sole chief executive candidate, has been taken down by Google because he has been sanctioned by the United States. Lee expressed disappointment, but said it would not affect his campaign. Maisie Mock reports.
A blank web page is all that remains of chief executive candidate John Lee's YouTube channel. A notice says his account was terminated for violating the terms of service of the digital platform's parent company, Google. Lee had used the channel to upload his election campaign videos. A spokesman said Google complies with applicable U.S. sanctions laws and enforces related policies under its terms of service. After review and consistent with these policies, we terminated the John Lee 2022 YouTube channel. When he was security chief in 2020, Lee was one of the 11 Hong Kong and mainland officials sanctioned by the United States over the implementation of the national security law.
對於我所謂嘅制裁係無理，係霸凌。
Lee did not name Google or YouTube, but described the U.S. sanctions as bullying behavior and unreasonable. He expressed disappointment, but said the removal of his YouTube channel won't affect his election-related work, as he can still reach the public. Lee's Facebook and Instagram web pages are available, but the parent company Meta said he cannot use their payment services. Maisie Mock, HKIBC.
New COVID cases in Hong Kong rose slightly today to 668. Health authorities are keeping a close eye on the trend in the coming days.
As compared with the past, this level of cases is still at a high level, so people need to continue to take precautions and also maintain social distancing measures. So far we do not see an obvious trend of upsurge, but we will closely monitor because the Easter holiday has just ended, so we need to observe for a few days or even a week to see if there is any possibility of upsurge.
10 COVID-related deaths were recorded today, the lowest in 2 months. Meanwhile, 3 students and 1 staff member from the 187 schools that resumed in-person classes tested positive today. 12 other students who were deemed positive yesterday turned out to be negative. Their school said the parents had reported the results incorrectly. A number of businesses, including spas and massage parlors, are putting the finishing touches as they prepare to reopen tomorrow when COVID restrictions are eased. Operators rush to make their establishments ready in the hope that there will be no more suspensions.
People waiting since January for a good back rub can return to spas and massage parlors from tomorrow. But sauna and pool facilities remain closed. To improve safety, clients and staff must wear masks. Visitors must use the Leave Home Safe app and have had at least 2 anti-COVID jabs. Staff must also have had at least 2 shots, and the Licensed Massage Association recommends a test before work. Around 50 to 60 parlors support regular testing and hope they can get a government subsidy for test kits. But ahead of reopening day, there are other problems. Owners have had to make repairs costing as much as $1 million for spas that have been shut for 3 months and replace items such as moldy towels. During the long closure, many staff members found new jobs or left the city, with around 40% of workers unable to return. The trade association said 4 or 5 large parlors and between 20 and 30 smaller ones have closed. The association warned that a further round of business suspensions, should there be another wave, could kill the entire industry. For now, though, it is preparing to welcome clients again.
So far, we have about 50 to 60% booking. Of course, we hope we can go back to 100% as soon as possible, but we think that maybe the customers still have kind of concern of going out about the COVID, and I think it takes time to resume. But if everything all right, we expect we go back to 80% or above in weeks.
Chow said the industry is cautious rather than hopeful because the COVID situation keeps changing.
New COVID cases in Shanghai have dropped slightly to 18,900, with about 2,500 of them considered symptomatic. The financial hub also reported deaths for the third day in a row. All 7 of the latest fatalities had severe long-term illnesses. The authorities say the spread of the virus in the community has been effectively curbed, with 0 cases in Jinshan and Chongming districts. Meanwhile, COVID expert Zhou Nanshan published an article in the National Science Review, saying China cannot pursue the dynamic zero strategy in the long run. A Chinese version of the piece has been deleted from mainland news sites. Locally, opposition activist Tam Tak-chi has been sentenced to 40 months in jail after being found guilty of sedition. The former People Power vice chairman was the first person convicted under a colonial-era sedition law since the handover in 1997. Maisie Mock reports.
Tam Tak-chi, who has been remanded since September 2020, was driven to the district court today in a correctional services vehicle. The 50-year-old opposition activist was convicted last month on 11 charges, including 7 counts of uttering seditious words at street corners across Hong Kong. He was also found guilty of inciting others to join an unauthorized assembly, disorderly conduct, convening an unauthorized assembly, and refusing to obey an order from an authorized officer. In mitigation, Tam's lawyer said the former People Power vice chairman did not promote violence and had only vented his emotions through speech. He called for a light sentence, saying the defendant was neither a bigwig nor influential. District Judge Stanley Chan said he was surprised that Tam had claimed he did not know the severe legal consequences of his case and would not have committed the crime had he known what he would be facing. Chan, who was appointed to handle national security cases, described Tam's remarks as boundless abuse from an uneducated 50-year-old. The judge rejected the defense argument that Tam did not seek personal gain, saying the activist had planned to become a lawmaker to enjoy the income, authority, and social status. Chan said Tam had chanted slogans used during the anti-government protests in 2019. He said the defendant had incited other people to break the law, had belittled the national security law, and continuously attacked the government. Tam was sentenced to 14 months in jail and fined $5,000. Maisie Mock, HKIBC.
There was a scare in Taiwan this morning when a TV station mistakenly reported that the mainland had invaded the island. The cable news arm of the broadcaster, CTS, ran a ticker at the bottom of the screen, claiming that New Taipei City had been hit by a missile and that ships in the port of Taipei had exploded. Other shocking headlines included a nuclear disaster, a magnitude 7 earthquake, and a presidential emergency decree. The government-backed broadcaster later apologized, blaming a technical hitch for displaying disaster drill messages from the fire department. Overseas, there's growing outrage in Sri Lanka following the first fatality after weeks of protests. At least 12 other people were wounded when riot police fired live bullets at demonstrators in Rambukana, 90 kilometers northeast of the capital, Colombo. Police said 15 officers were injured. Civil unrest has gripped Sri Lanka as food and fuel prices soared amid frequent power cuts. The island nation is seeking an emergency loan from the International Monetary Fund. Japan has expelled 8 Russian diplomats, further isolating Moscow from the rest of the world. Russia, meanwhile, continued its offensive in eastern Ukraine and told soldiers in Mariupol to surrender. Winna Wang reports.
Wailing sirens filled the air in Kramatorsk in eastern Ukraine, a day after Russia officially launched the battle for Donbass. At least one person was killed and several more were injured in an explosion, one of the many that rocked the city in the past few weeks. Further northwest, the nation's second largest city, Kharkiv, is staying determined, despite being one of the first places that Russia attacked. Over 100 people turned up to pay their respects to 3 Ukrainian deminers killed when deactivating a bomb. As for the beleaguered southeastern port city of Mariupol, Moscow claims an absolute ceasefire had been declared in the vicinity of the Azovstal steel mill. Mikhail Mizintsev, head of the Russian National Defense Control Center, urged fighters there to stop resisting. But Mariupol's deputy mayor said Moscow cannot be trusted.
And I'm absolutely sure they are not going to take their word. It would be good if they would allow civil citizens to leave Azovstal territory or to leave the city, but they didn't allow this for 50 days. Why should they allow this now?
In Tokyo, a bus believed to be carrying 8 Russian diplomats and their families was seen leaving the embassy for the airport this morning. Japan had announced earlier this month it would also be phasing out imports of Russian coal and oil. Winna Wang, HKIBC.
The Hang Seng Index sank to a 5-week low today on concerns that COVID could hamper the mainland's economic growth. The benchmark rose sharply in the morning before going on a steep decline and ending 0.4% lower. Mainland developers were among the biggest losers. Country Garden gave up 6.3%, while its property management arm, Country Garden Services, plunged 10.7%. Energy firms retreated as oil prices fell. The mainland's biggest offshore oil producer, CNOOC, was 4.1% lower on the eve of its A-share debut in Shanghai. Now let's take a look at the markets. The Hang Seng Index ended the day down 83 points. To the top 10 active stocks, Tencent down $2, Meituan down $1.10, Alibaba down 80 cents. Hong Kong Exchange down $4.80, Ping An down $1.55, AIA up $1.25. To the forex trading against the Hong Kong dollar, the euro is at 8.49, British pound at 10.23, and Australian dollar at 5.82. Over in the UK market, the FTSE 100 is up 13 points. On to the weather now. 1 or 2 showers at first tomorrow, but sunny periods will emerge later. Temperatures will range between 21 and 26 degrees. Sunny periods over the weekend. Now let's take a look at the weather around the world. That's our main news for Wednesday night. Join us for more news at 11. I'm Johanna. Thanks for watching. Good night.